I welcome you all to the second day of Zoho Creator C6 training series, and this is a 5-day training series of Get to Know Zoho Creator C6. And I'm Surendra Manoj, and I'll be the host for today's session. So I welcome you all, and let's get into the session. And before we move into the session, we have a few points to be announced. All the attendees of this session will be placed on mute. If you have any questions, please use the questions tab which is available on the left hand side. Our co-trainers will be actively answering all your questions. Okay? A recording of this session will be sent to all the attendees, and please do participate in the polls and surveys which we are initiating during and after the session. The feedbacks which you are providing us is very important in regulating the flow of current session as well as to understand and design our upcoming sessions in a better manner. So I once again welcome you all to day 2, where we are going to discuss about microservices part of development. Okay. So yesterday we discussed about the application building and how we can apply the application through multiple environments, right? So today we are going to talk about microservices, what are the components of microservices, and how microservices can be used. So let's get into the agenda of today's session. We'll be starting with microservices, where microservices is having two components. One is connection and data source. And talking about connection, there are again two types of connections. One is system connection and user connection. And coming to data source, we'll be discussing about the properties of data source. What are the products which are considered as a data sources? We'll be talking about the prerequisites, and we'll be seeing how we can configure a data source and use that in a creator application. At the end, we'll be also discussing about the AI models which we have in Creator and how it is being reflected in data source. Sorry, how it is reflected in microservices. So let us get started with the environment of Creator. Yesterday we discussed about this in detail. Today we are going to take a look at the microservices section, which comprises of connections, data sources, AI models, AR, PR, and serverless functions. So talking about connections, connections are acting as a tunnel between our Zoho Creator application and a third-party service. And data sources are the third-party services whose modules we are managing from Creator directly. And then comes the AI models. These are the models which we are creating in our application. And these models, once they are published, you can see that under the microservices. We are working on a concept of augmented reality and virtual reality. It is not available right now, but in the future releases of C6, you can have those functions. And we have the serverless functions already. This is available inside the function section of application creator. The functions which we are writing in any programming languages other than Deluge constitutes to the serverless functions. Currently, we are supporting the programming languages like Java and Node.js files. So let's get in detail about the microservices. Microservices majorly consist of three components: connections, data source, and the AI models which we are creating. Okay. Talking about connections, right? Connections are, and let's talk about microservices on a whole. Microservices are those services which cannot operate independently. Okay, but these services enable our creator application to enhance its capabilities. For example, let us take a connection. Connection is a tunnel which is getting established between our Zoho Creator and other third-party services. This enables our creator application to get integrated seamlessly, and the data flow between our SaaS-based products are very easy, and this makes our SaaS-based products work together. Okay, so that is about the connection and data source. There are some products which allows us to have data in them, and these data are the modules in those SaaS-based products are directly managed from a creator application. Such services are called as data sources, and then comes the AI models. So coming to creators AI models, we know there are 5 fields in the AI section, right? Prediction, OCR, object detection, sentiment analysis, and uh, image recognition. Okay, of this prediction model is the model which learns from the data which is available inside our creator application. The rest of the models are learning from the general data which is available in Zia, but the prediction model is learning from the data which is residing inside our creator application. Okay, so those kinds of models are called as AI models, and we have brought that. We are planning to bring those models into microservices, where we can create a model, train that, and then we can use that in our application in future. For now, it is available inside the uh, creators application building. Okay, so these are the components which are constituting to the microservices specifically. And talking about connection, right? So the connection, as we discussed, it is the tunnel which is established, and using the connection, our creator application will be talking to the target at SaaS-based products, so or the third-party services. So this connection setup is it's a one-time setup. Okay, once we set up the connection, we can reuse those connections multiple times, and this allows our SaaS-based products to work together. And instead of every product working as a individual silo, we can make them integrate and work together so that we can harness the power of both the products working together to a maximum extent. And the authentication process has been made very easy. All we have to do is to have a secured account in the target service, and we have to authorize that account to our creator application. In this, we have given a pictorial representation of how we can connect Zoho Creator with video. Okay, so video is a SMS sending service, which is again a SaaS-based product. So all we have to do is we have to create a account in video, and we have to pass on the credentials to Zoho Creator so that creator can get integrated with video with a secure connection. So let me take you through the live mode of the application. I'll show you how the connection has been created and how we are able to use the connections inside our creator applications. So let me take you to the live dashboard. So this is my admin dashboard where we can see all the applications which we have created. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a microservice and use that inside the application which we created for yesterday. Okay, so let me go ahead and create a microservices. The moment I come into microservice, you can see I have the option to view all my connections, data sources, and AI models. Okay, so let me go ahead and create a new connection here. So while we are trying to create a microservice, we have two options. Either we can create a connection or we can configure a data source. Even if we are trying to configure a data source, the connection is a mandatory part. We have to establish a connection so that the data source can talk to creator application. So let's go ahead and start by creating connection. So we can see a list or a portfolio of SaaS-based products which are available. In C5 version, we can remember connection object being present under the account setup, where we had a lesser number of SaaS-based products, and with the advent of integration systems into Zoho ecosystem, we have the option to connect our creator application to multiple SaaS-based products as of now. Okay, and so for now we have a few products, and we are continuously configuring and adding more SaaS-based products into our portfolio so that we can have more integration capability here. So for this example, we are going to connect this with SMS sending service, that is video. So you can see in the left-hand side, all the SaaS-based products are categorized based on the vertical in which they are operating. So let me go ahead and choose SMS. We have multiple options. I'm choosing the service video. So the moment I choose the service, the system is asking me to give a connection name. So this name is used to identify the connection which we are going to use. So let me give it as video demo. And we have the option to authorize this connection to all the environments directly from here. And for now, I'm going to leave it as it is so that I can authorize it individual environments from the next step. Okay, so let me go ahead and create and authorize. So there are two ways to connect the create a connection. Either if we already have established a connection with video, we can choose that, or we can go ahead and link a new account. So for this purpose, I have my video account, and I'm going to get all the details from here. So once I log into my video console, so let me reload this. Once I log into my video console, I'll be provided with all the required secrets. Okay, so here you can see to establish a connection, I'll be in need of auth token, I'll be in need of account SID. I have to provide the number from which we are going to send clear the SMS from, and we have to provide a identification name, using which the system understands or identifies this particular connection. So let me get into console. Here you can see I have my auth token and account SID. So let me copy these keys here. I'll be pasting my auth token and I'll be also copying my account SID. And this is followed by the from number. So I have to configure from which number we are going to send this SMS. So in Twilio, we have the option to purchase mobile numbers. So I'm going to choose one of the numbers which we have in Twilio account, and then we have to give the authorization name. So I'll say Twilio demo, and we can authorize this for all the environments as such, or I'll be authorizing this for production. So since the authorization process has to be done by the super admin, what we can do is I'll be doing authorizing this environment for production directly, and when the developers and the testers are accessing those particular environments, they can simply go ahead and authorize it themselves. So I'm going to click on authorize. So here we can see I have been created with a new connection, which is Twilio demo, and this connection has been authorized for production, and the development and staging is yet to be authorized. So this can be authorized from the live mode as well. We'll be seeing how we can authorize these connections from the live mode after we establish this connection. Okay, and now we have established this connection. The next step we are supposed to do is to authorize our application to access this connection. So here we can see we have the option to access. So let me take you to the application and let us try to access this connection without authorizing, so we can understand how the authorization or the access control works for connections. So earlier in the previous versions, we didn't have this access control for connections. We can simply get establish a connection object and use it directly inside our applications. So let me get into the edit mode of the environment. So getting into the edit mode. So I'm going to write a workflow. So let's go ahead and create a workflow saying on the successful submission, we are going to trigger SMS. We are creating a workflow here. So let me go ahead and add a delivery script and notification. I will say send SMS. So here you can see that the system is saying there's no connection. Although we have established a connection with Twilio, the system is understanding that we have not authorized our connection to this Twilio account. So let me go ahead and authorize or give access to the application now. So let's get into the microservices, and this is the connection, and I'm going to give it for order management. So let me authorize it. So now if I try to establish the same workflow one more time, I'll cancel it. I'll add. So I'll go for notification and send SMS. Okay, I'll just reload it one more time. So I'm adding the new action here. Notification, send SMS. We are in the order processing night session. So we have given access to. Just give me 1 second. So okay, we have given this access to the order management. So let's give it to the order management night session. So let me cancel it and do it one more time. New action, notification, and send SMS. So here you can see that video demo connection has been populated to us. So I choose the video demo account, and you can see this it is saying this connection has not been authorized for development. So I can go ahead and authorize it over here, or I can access the live mode and let the developers to authorize it themselves. So I'll be choosing it from a mobile number field. Okay, since we don't have mobile number, I'll be choosing from the number field here. And let's go ahead and done. Now if I access the development live, so this is the development live, and if I get into order processing, let me choose the customer and add a few items to this customer, and let us give our mobile number here. I'll be giving us sample number. So we'll be just getting into the logs and checking how this SMS is getting triggered. Uh, so let's go ahead and submit it. So now if I get into the logs, okay. So before we do this, we have to understand that we have not authorized our connection yet. Okay. So let me reload it. So we can see we have the option to authorize it. I'll choose it as none. Here you can see near the hill, we have this three dots, right? So this is where we can go ahead and authorize our connection. So for now, I'm going to authorize my connection for the development mode. So once I click on authorize, it will be asking me to choose from the authorized account. I'm choosing Filio demo and I'm authorizing it. Okay, so right now it's getting connected. So if I get into the log now, so since we have already submitted, we should be having a SMS triggered, but since we didn't just let me reload it. Since we didn't authorize that connection over there, the SMS would not have been triggered. So let's go ahead and trigger it one more time. Let's check the log first, and then we'll be getting over there. So getting into logs, you can see. So you can see that there's no user available and the connection is not authorized, so it's saying invalid connection. So let me submit one more order here. So let me submit for the same person. I will choose a different item. So let's do the same, and if I submit it, so now if I go ahead and check the logs one more time, development logs, I think we have to reload it. So here we can see, if I go into logs, we can see there is a new connection which has been established, and it has been triggered on September 21st, 8:47 p.m. after we have authenticated the connection. Okay, so this is how we establish a connection, and we also have the option to authenticate these connections from the mobile application as well. So let me show you my mobile application and link it from there. I'll open a power here. Give it a second. It's getting loaded. So just give it a second. The screen is getting loaded. Once it is loaded, we can connect my mobile, and we can also understand how we can authorize these connections from mobile application. I'll open the okay theme. So let me mirror my screen over here. So this is my screen, and let me open my creator application. So this is the creator application, the cascading application, which is available in the Play Store. I have logged in with my creator credentials for the C6 version. So here we can see all the applications I have built in my dashboard is visible. And from here, since I am the super admin, I have the option to access multiple stages. Okay. So for now, we have enable the authorization for development, right? So let us go ahead and try to enable the same authorization for staging as well. So before we do that, I think we have to publish it. Let me try it one more time. Okay, so we are not seeing the connections over here. we'll be publishing the changes which we have made. So let me get into publish to stage, uh, order processing. I'll be proceeding it. It's selecting. So you can notice that we have a few color codings, right? So the green color means we have made this workflow a new one. If there is a red color, we can just double click and see it has been updated from the older one to the newer one. So all those kind of actions can be viewed here. So I'm choosing all the changes that has been made and I'm proceeding it. I'll be considering this as a major change. So I'll say connection change. I'll just copy the same and paste it over here and I'll publish it. So give it a second, it will get published over to the staging. So here we can see the version 4.0 has been published successfully. And now if I get into my mobile application, so let me come back and access the stage. Here you can see there is the option called settings. So earlier it was not there. So from this settings, we can go ahead and authorize the connections. So I'm authorizing the connection from here. The system is asking me to authorize the connection. So it is now in Twilio. If I authorize, it is asking me to choose from which connection I want to authorize. So while we are authorizing the connection to multiple environments, right, we also have the option to choose different accounts for different environments. So here we can see I have two options. I can either choose Twilio connection or Twilio demo. Okay. So for the development, we used Twilio demo. If I want to do it in stage, I can go ahead and use the Twilio connection and say reuse. Okay. So now both the environments are having different authorizations or different connections. Different accounts linked to them. Okay. So this is one other feature which we have. So that if you are the super admin of the account, and the developers want you to create a connection or authorize a connection which has been created, we can simply do that from the live mode directly, or we can access our mobile application and do it hassle free, so that the development process happens without any issue. Okay. So let me close this. Let me just exit this application now. So, this is the connection, and so we just created a new connection, and we saw how we can identify a connection and establish or authorize it, and we also saw how we can authorize or create an application to access those connections. So let me take you to the presentation over there. So this is how the connection creation actually happens. We have to choose a service to which we are establishing the connection. We have to choose the connection object, and then we have to get into the we have to perform the authorization task. Okay, we have to pass on all the required credentials, and once the authorization is completed, our connection gets created. Then we have to get into the connection. We have to provide access to our applications so that the applications can use those connection objects into our application. If we are not giving access, the applications will not be able to use the connection for integration. And we should also note that while we are authorizing connections across multiple environments, and we can give individual permissions to the connections. Either we can authorize only the development and production, or we can authorize only production and leave development and stage alone, or we can have multiple accounts linked to each and every stage. Okay. And so while we are establishing connection, these are the steps which are supposed to be followed. First, we have to choose the scope or the permissions of a connection. So the scopes are nothing but the operations which are permitted to that particular connection, so that the actions which are being performed by the client using this connection object on the protected resource can be controlled. So this is a granular way of controlling all the actions done by the client. And once these scopes and permission sets are being defined, we have to go ahead and authorize the connection. We can either authorize it for all the environments, or we can hold it and authorize it authorize the environments one by one. Okay. And then comes the governing of connections. So once the connection has been created, we have to get into the access control and provide access to all the applications which are supposed to use those connections. And the reason we are having this access control is to make sure that the resources are being used properly, so that the unwanted applications don't use excess of these resources, and the usage of this connection can be understood from one single place. We can understand all the applications which are accessing that particular connection, and we can decide whether that particular application is supposed to access, or whether that particular environment is supposed to have access to this connection, so that we can regulate the use of our resources with the third party services. So while we are trying to create a microservice, we have two options: either to create a connection, or we can go ahead and create a data source. And these are the will be provided with a list of portfolios if we choose to create a connection. From where we are choosing the SMS one for this presentation, we can choose to any other SaaS-based products which is available. The process will be the same. We have to provide the connection name, and we have to authorize it to the environments. If we are not doing it over here, we have the next step where we can go and authorize the environments individually. And once the connection has been established, we have to get into the access control and go ahead and provide access to the applications. Okay. And these are a few screenshots which which we just saw in the mobile version. So the center screenshot is showing all the applications which is present in the creator application or my workspace. And so the moment I try to access the application, it is going to ask me what are the stages I wanna, or what environment I wanna access. And by getting into the environment, if there is a connection to be authorized, we'll be having this option called settings, from where we can go ahead and authorize the connection. And once we choose the appropriate account from which we are going to authorize, we will be able to use this connection in that particular environment. And all this can be done either from a live mode or from the mobile application as well, along with the edit mode. Okay, so we have option to authorize the connection in multiple places. So the production environment will not have this option. So only the development and staging options will have this option. Yeah, the production environment has to be authorized from the edit mode of the application. So once it is connected, we have a connection established successfully. So talking about connection, there are two types of connection. One is user connection and another one is system connection, right? So we'll be understanding the details or the difference between the user connection and system connection in a brief manner. So the system connections are the ones which are being internally created, and we don't have to go through the authorization process while we are creating these connections. Okay. Normally, while we are creating a connection within Zoho services, we don't have this concept called authorization. What we do is we just define the scope, and we get connected, and we don't need the super admin's permission to do this. Okay, but these connections has to be reauthorized or maintained by the super admin. And while we are using integration tasks for the places such as Zoho CRM or Zoho Recruit, or while we are using Zoho projects or Zoho sheets in our pages, the connection object can be made as an optional parameter. If we are not passing the connection object over there, the system itself will generate one for it, one for. Okay, and while we are authorizing these system connections, it is mandated that we have to authorize it for all the environments at once. We cannot do it like what we did for the user connections. And coming to user connections, and these are the connections which have been manually created by the admins and developers. So the like the one which we established for video. Okay, so that is a user connection. We have to go manually. We have to connect that to the external service. We have to get the credentials, pass it on, do the authorization, and then we have to provide access to the application. So these processes has been done manually, and these connections have come under user connection. And the user connections can have either same or different authorization for different environments. We can use the same account to authorize for all the environments, or we can have multiple accounts to authorize for multiple environments, and from where we can take it up uh, and establish the connection. Okay. So these are the places where we are using the connections. So the first place is the data source. As we discussed, while we are creating a microservice, even though we are creating a data source, the data source is going to require a connection so that it can talk to our creator application. and then comes the SMS workflow, then comes the payment workflow, and we also have this integration action, integration task, and work URL. Okay, all these places we have to have the connections established so that the communication between the creator and the targeted product is seamless. Okay, so now let us get into the data source part. So we have seen quite a bit about connection, and to understand about data source, right? So the data source is used to manage a module from a third party service. Okay. For example, let us say we have this concept called integration form in Zoho Creator in the C5 versions as well. So we have the option to configure or create a replica of a module in Zoho CRM or Recruit or Salesforce or QuickBooks. Okay, so we can what we can do is we can choose a particular module. We can create a form in Zoho Creator and start using it. While we are operating this form inside Zoho Creator, the module in that other product is also getting operated. So that is the same concept, but in data source we have more number of sources from which we can consume data. Okay. And based on the API support which is provided by the other service, we the data housed in the external service can be manipulated as well. It's not just adding or fetching the data. We also have the option to edit or manipulate, which is based on the API support that is provided by the service which we are handling. So this will be like we are operating a form in Creator basically. So the end user will not know the difference that they are operating a data source. Basically, it will be like any other form in Creator, and this form directly operates the third party module. Okay. So the major difference or the major criteria for configuring or accessing a connection as a data source is this service which we are getting connected to should support, create, read, update, and delete operations associated. Okay, and so for example, the service video which we established, it is. Uh, it is not having the concept of accessing, or it's not having the concept of so it is not having the concept of getting a record created or maintained in the module. So it is just a connection, and we don't have that as a data source. So when we are talking about the services in the data source, we can see that it is just a subset of connections. Not all the connections which are available will be a part of this data source. Okay, so let me take you to the live demo of how, let us see how we can establish a connection. So let us try to establish a data source and add that to the connection. Okay. So getting into microservices, I'm creating a new data source. Go ahead and create a new data source. And for this demo purpose in data source, we'll be using the QuickBooks as a target SaaS-based product. So what we have to do is we have to first select the connection while we are establishing the data source. So let me go ahead and choose a connection. So I'll go ahead and choose QuickBooks, and so the connection establishing process is the same. So this is a connection which I have already created. If you want to create a new connection for this, so we can go ahead and create a connection for QuickBooks as well. So let me go ahead and start with creating a connection, and I'll start with creating a connection for QuickBooks, and I'll say QB5, and we can either authorize it for all the environments, or we can authorize it individually to the separate environments as such. Let's go ahead and select the account, and I'm going to reuse the same connection which I have. So, and I'm going to authorize this connection to the application order processing at night session. So this is the one which we are using. And now let us go ahead and create a data source for QuickBooks. Create a data source. And we are going to choose QuickBooks and we are going to choose a connection, QB5, and a module which we are going to operate from QuickBooks. We are going to use it as customer, and we are going to give the name for this data source. So the name is going to be customer QB5. And let me go ahead and create this data source. And now this data source has been created. Now the data source should also be given access to the application. So I'm going to access our night session application to use this data source inside it. So I'm going to authorize it. Now if I get into the live mode of the application, just one more audio check. I am experiencing a bit lag. So is my voice audible without any break? Can anyone confirm that in the chat? Okay, thank you, Jeremy. So I just want to confirm that. Okay. So while we are trying to configuring that data source, what we can do is we can go ahead and create a form. So while creating a form, we used to have this concept called integration forms earlier. Okay. Now it has been configured as a UDS, Unified Data Source, where we can not only send data to the third party service, we can also reuse the same data which is residing there into our system. Okay. So we have more than 50 plus sources as of now, and we are continuously configuring and expanding this portfolio so that we can use more number of data sources into our Creator application. So for this demo, we'll be using the QuickBooks. So we are going to choose a QuickBooks file. So in this data source, what we have done is we have configured the customer module of QuickBooks. If I get into my QuickBooks account, let me log in. Oh, test. Oh, I'll log in one more time. So it's getting logged in. And in QuickBooks, we can see there are multiple modules available. So we have this banking modules where we can see all the transactions, we can see all the bank's rules. Under sales, we have the sales, customers, invoices, and we have the cash flows and all. For our connection, what we have done is we have chosen the customer module. So this is the module we have chosen. So coming to sales and customer module. And so in this module, we can see we already have a few data. We have 4 different data available. Okay. So what happens is if I create a module for this, if I create a data source for this module, this data which is available or the replica of this form will be created. So here you can see there is one field which has been marked as mandatory, the display name as. Okay. So let's go ahead and create a data source. We can see the data source which we are creating will be having that particular field pre-populated. So let's go it as QB5. Yes. So QB5 is the connection name, and yes, the data source. I just place it over there. So let's go ahead and create the data source. So here you can see the display name, which was a mandatory field, has been auto-populated, and the system will not allow us to delete this mandatory field. And it will be saying, okay, so the service to which you are going to integrate has made this field as a mandatory, so we cannot delete this particular module. So let us go ahead and add a few other fields over here. So we'll add the first name, last name, and we also give the company name. Okay. So although there are multiple fields which are available in that module, we only have a few fields. There are a few criteria which have been involved while we are creating that module. So let's go ahead and get done. And in the development live, if I reload it, so here you can see we have the QB5DS form. So this form seems to be the same as any other creator form which we have in our application. But if I'm feeding data into this, the data gets the same data gets sent to our QuickBooks as well. So before we get into that, we can also get access the report. We can see we have not added any data to this data source, and in the report you can see we'll be able to access all the records which are available in the targeted data source. So I'll add one more. So let's put the display name as Asha Natarajan, and we give it as title as Mrs. First name Asha, and last name Natarajan, and the company name is Zoho. Let's go ahead and submit it. You can see record is being added over here. So it's Asha Natarajan. If I get into the QuickBooks module and let me zoom in, sales under customers, if I can see, we have a record for Asha Natarajan created over here. If I can get in the detailed view, I can see all the details which I fed from my creator form is being populated to the appropriate fields. Okay. And this is not just sending the field or viewing the data. We can also use these data which is setting QuickBooks inside our creator application. For example, let me get into the design and let me use integration field. I'll just create a new form just to show you how we can fetch the data from, or how we can get the data from our from the data source and use it inside our form. Okay, I'm not going to add any fields or any complex fields over there. I'm going to create it from scratch and call it as input. So this is just to check how the integration is working, how we are getting the data from creator to from the data source to creator. I'll go ahead and add an integration field. So we have all the services listed. For now, we are having only these four services, but we are working on bringing all the available services in the data source so that we can directly configure them into our form and get the data. So let me go ahead and get it from QuickBooks. And the data source which I'm going to use is the customer QB file, and the field from which we are going to get the data is going to be, I'm going to get the display name of the customer. So once I click on done, if I get into the live mode, I reload it. In the form, we can see we have the integration field, which is getting us all the data from our QuickBooks, and the data is being used inside our creator application. So this is how we can configure a data source and we can consume the data from data source. Either we can send it or we can get the data. And with the API permits, we also have the option to manipulate the data. We also have the option to update or delete the data in the third-party service as well. Okay. And so let me get into the presentation. So these are the prerequisites for establishing a data source. The first prerequisite is we have to have an account in the third-party service which we are planning to configure as a data source, and the module which we are trying to configure as a data source should have the API support that allows the data flow between creator and the targeted service, and we should have an authorized connection so that the communication between our creator application and the data source is established and it is seamless. Okay, so coming to the next section. So configuring data source. These are the steps which are supposed to be followed. First, we have to establish a connection, and then we have to create a data source, and we have to provide access to the application on that particular data source directly. So coming to AI models, so we discussed about the production field in our creative environment, right? So if I take you to the live mode, so here you can see we have this AI field available. Right? So of these AI fields, we can see the keyword extraction, sentiment analysis, OCR, and object detection. These artificial intelligence fields are being trained by default data set. Whatever data set we have for Zia by default is used to train these models. But the prediction field. This is a model which is going to consume data from the application or the data which is being inside our own workspace, and it is going to get itself trained, and then it is going to provide us with result. Okay, so this model alone can be used as a separate service, and it will be reflecting under the microservices section. Okay, so let me go ahead and create a AI field over here, and I'll show you how this reflects. So there are a few prerequisites to have a prediction field. We should at least have a, number, currency, or decimal field in the form, which is a source, and that should be a target. So let me go ahead and get a source here, and we also get a target number as well. So this form is not having any data, so our model will not be having any prediction accuracy. But if you have data into the system, the model learns from that data. The more data you have, the accuracy gets increased more. So I'll say target. Okay, so the more the data we feed into the prediction field, the more we get accuracy. So let me go ahead and establish a prediction. So we have to give the name for this prediction. So let us say predict sales. So this is a order management system. So we are going to say it as predict sales, and the target field we are going to choose it as target, and the prediction field we can choose it from one single field, or we can have more than one fields, and based on multiple fields we can come up to the solution. So we does solution and training data. Either we can use all the records which are available in our creator form, or we can choose a specific record, a specific set of records which are matching a criteria. I'm going to leave it as all records as of now. So here you can see we are going to predict the value for the target using the source fields from all the records which is available in the form. If I go ahead and add the prediction field, the field gets added. Now it doesn't get reflected as it is in the microservices. Right now we have this prediction model created for the development environment. So if I get into the environment and settings, we can see the AI model over here. So if I can here, you can see the predict sales AI model available in the development environment. Okay, so but the same, if I get into the staging environment, we will not be seeing this AI field over there. You can see there's only one AI field. So the AI fields will not be visible in the main dashboard unless or until they are in the production mode. Okay, and up to that point, the AI fields are getting contained itself to those particular environments. For example, let us say I'm publishing this application to the stage. So the system will be asking if I want to publish my my AI module as well. So I'm choosing it. I'm getting into the next level. So I'm choosing all the changes that has been made. So these are the components which we have created new, and I'm going to click on proceed. So you can see the system is asking. So okay, so you have in this form, intent form, you have this field called predict sales, which is ZIA enabled field. So you want to publish along with this particular model. So I'm going to click on proceed, and I'll say AI model, and we consider that as major and go ahead and publish. So getting into environments. So let us give it a second and see the VI, the version 5 is in publish queue. So let's give it a second. It will be getting published in a few seconds. So the publishing is in progress. So there's a migration process which is happening. Let me reload it now. So here you can see the version 5.0 has been published to the staging. So if I get into the settings of the stage. You can see I'll be having access to the AI model over here as well. Okay, so that up until the point where the AI model reaches the final production stage, that model is getting contained itself to the environments in which it's getting handled. And let's go ahead and publish the same to production. I'll publish it to production, the AI model, and I'll go ahead and proceed. I'll publish immediately. So I'll go ahead and publish. Getting into environments. So the V4 publishing is in queue, the V5 migration is in process. So now if I get into microservices, you can see I have this new model for the sales prediction. So if I want to retrain this model, I can go ahead and simply click on this sandwich option, and I can say go ahead and retrain. So based on the data which is available, the model trains itself, and the accuracy gets increased. So more the training data it has, the data which has been, or the prediction accuracy increases exponentially. So we can see the AI models in the appropriate environment under the settings of those respective environments, and we can retrain the model for the respective environments as well. So with this, we are coming to the end of today's session, and we have our next session on September 22nd, and it's about Zoho Analytics and all the customizations which are available for Zoho Creator C6 environment. And a link to this session will be shared to you by our co-trainers, the chat section. And again, this is a recurring session, so you don't have to specifically go ahead and register. If you have already registered for day 1 and day 2, you can use the same link to join, and it is happening on tomorrow 9 p.m. IST. Okay, and I'll be leaving this session open for a few more minutes to take questions. Me and our co-trainers will be answering all the questions. Okay, thank you.